I think Miles Bridges was excellent in this one, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But one thing we need to get to with LaMelo here, Doug, it's the fact
Yeah.
that we talked about this during the James Borrego segment that we did on Friday. How much is he on the hot seat, if you will? And he's not going to get fired, right? Like, unless there's some disastrous way that they end the season.
Right.
JB, I don't think we're talking about him actually getting fired, but we're asking how much pressure is on one James Borrego in a fourth year where you're trying to make the playoffs pretty clearly as the team gave themselves that mandate. You've got some player development, and that's all been very good, but now it's time to take this to the next level, and that's get into the postseason. And you would think it's by playing your star player pretty frequently. And LaMelo Ball only played 26 minutes in this game against the Milwaukee Bucks. LaMelo fans have long noticed this for a while,
Yes.
that James Borrego is not playing LaMelo enough. And I thought it was out of control at first with the fans. I thought, you know what, it's like this is not that big of a deal. But in that episode we did with JB, like, it's starting to be a little weird. It is. And I think you can look at this one, and LaMelo finished the game with 5 fouls. And so James Borrego might just have this philosophy of, hey, look, I'm not testing it. LaMelo, he gets really gambly out on the perimeter. Maybe he runs into somebody on an inadvertent pass. Like, maybe the instinct sometimes just give him a foul that I'm scared of that's going to happen, and so I want to take him off of the court for this. And I can understand that. But, like, there are some reasons, there is some validity to LaMelo Ball fans wanting him to play more, and JB just continues to put him under 30 minutes a game, even behind a couple of other guys on this team.
Yeah, so let's look at the numbers. So LaMelo is third in minutes per game to Gordon Hayward and Miles Bridges, but he's first in touches overall. So he's making the most, and I'm not going to call it limited minutes. I mean, he's playing over 30 minutes a game in every game. He's tied with Terry, actually, for third in minutes. They're both at 31.7. He's seventh overall in the league, in the NBA, for touches per game. So I think that I'm sort of where you are, Walker, in that I think some of the fans are a little overboard on their wanting LaMelo to play like 40 plus minutes a game. But I think they do have a point that I don't know if LaMelo Ball should be second. I think he should be second, maybe, to Bridges, or first, or maybe tied with Bridges. He should have more minutes. But I also think there have been some contextual issues this season that have kept LaMelo Ball off the floor in certain games. One of those is he does tend to get in early foul trouble sometimes. I agreed with Borrego's strategy in this game against Milwaukee. This was an important game, and he wanted LaMelo Ball in the fourth quarter. And hey, by the way, LaMelo Ball was great at the end of that game, the end of the fourth quarter. And so if they don't have LaMelo Ball because he picked up his 6th foul, in the early part of the fourth quarter, would that have benefited the Hornets? I don't think so. So there's been that contextual issue. And the other issue, I think, is that the Hornets have found themselves on either side of blowouts this season. They have many times they have blown teams out or been blown out, and that's going to affect your star player minutes.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think a fresh LaMelo, somebody that you're kind of saving for from also getting in foul trouble, that makes sense to me. Like, your most important player, because LaMelo's clearly their most important player. Gordon Hayward, even though he's been not shooting the ball lately, Miles Bridges, Terry Rozier, that's your core 4. And I would still say LaMelo is what makes that team go, because they are good in transition. He's one of the best passers in the league. He allows everybody else to be great. I think LaMelo is that guy that is so important. And you're right. Like, remember the first, 15 games of the season? LaMelo just could not stay out of early foul trouble. I don't think that's been as much of a problem, compared to, I don't know whether it was first 10, first 15. It's not been as big of a problem as it was at the very beginning. But dude would pick up 2 fouls in the first quarter every single game. And like, I could understand at that point, it's like, all right, look, we're just starting the season off. We can't have you sit in crunch time. Or even in some of the Ish Smith game is one thing I think of. When he was just so hot, LaMelo himself told James Borrego, leave Ish in. Like, I'm good. And there have been some weird things that have contributed to this.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, Walker. He has been deferential at times for the sake of the team. That's something that you love about LaMelo
is.
Ball, but that is ultimately going to affect his individual minutes. The second thing that's part of that same deal when he was like leave Ish in is that the absolute fact of this season is that the starting five have not played very well together. This is not one of the best or even the sort of middle of the NBA starting lineups. This starting group has not played well together this season. And so you've seen multiple games where Borrego has either gone to a significant bench lineup or a mix of bench and starters. And you've seen a couple of Ish Smith games where he's come up and been the energy point for the team. And I think part of that lies on JB for getting this starting group right. I think part of that lies on the fact that they're deficient at center. And I think part of that has to lay with LaMelo. I think if you want to be the leader of the team, then you have to take some responsibility for the fact that the starting group is not playing as well as it could together.
The thing is, though, like I understand that because of the star power. I think so much of that lies on your second point, and that they're just not good at center. Because Mason Plumlee is the guy that counts for those starting five numbers, and the numbers with Mason on the court, they're just so bad. However you want to slice them, give me any power, give me any player combination you really want to that matters, and Mason is going to take them down. And then when you put PJ in, when you put Jalen McDaniels in, when you have Miles at the 5 minutes in, like that raises the numbers so much. Like it to me, I hate to just point, it's all on Mason, but it is. He brings the numbers so far down, and that brings me into a second point, Doug, where you look at the defense against Milwaukee. I thought it was good. Giannis scores 40, and he made tough shots. I thought PJ provided a ton of resistance down low, and then Giannis is just going to dunk it because it's probably him, Joel Embiid, and I don't know, maybe a couple of other players I'm forgetting that can do some of those things where you're just down low and I'm going to dunk it. There's nothing you could stab me and I'm still going to dunk it. There's nothing you can do to stop him. And Giannis had some of that. Also 3-3-pointers, had a fadeaway. Middleton is hitting tough shots. That's the reason that the Bucks were in this game, is because they had two awesome offensive players that hit really tough shots, but it was PJ providing that resistance. LaMelo, I think some of the other guys got involved. Miles, I keep wanting to talk about him. I just thought he was a linebacker playing in this game against Milwaukee. He wanted it as much as anybody. I'll give you that cliche, just pounding dudes inside. I thought that was some of the reason why the defense looked so good.
Yeah, this will be interesting. I love that they made Giannis work for everything he got, and I don't understand how they officiated Giannis. It doesn't make any sense to me. They were calling things on him that they wouldn't call when he did them to on the other end of the floor. It just wasn't equal in my mind. So the officials have to figure out how to officiate this guy, because to me it's just totally unfair. So that's number one. But they made him work for a lot of it, and so I wonder how that affects Giannis in this second game. To me, this is like playoff preparation. You're getting two home games versus the Milwaukee Bucks, just a night in between. Can the Hornets deal with the adjustments that Milwaukee is obviously going to make, and deal with the fact that they can't possibly get only 5 bench points 2 games in a row? There will be adjustments. There will be changes made. Can JB make the counter adjustments? And can the Charlotte Hornets, can the players come out with the same kind of attitude 2 nights in a row versus the same opponent? If they really have playoff aspirations, if they really have dreams of winning a playoff series, it has to start tonight.
Yeah, we'll see what James Borrego, what the Charlotte Hornets team is able to do the second time.
Hey, can I say one more thing on the Mason Plumlee thing before we go to break?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because it reminded me of something. I watched Borrego's post-game press conference, and he said, and I kid you not, I'm paraphrasing, but he said that Mason Plumlee does things that don't show up in the stat sheet.
Oh no, he did not. He did not say that. Did you explode?
He did.
I bet your head popped off. I'm glad you were able to reattach it.
All right, so for those that are just now watching us, I have a history of really being upset with the Charlotte Hornets having centers that only do things that don't show up in the stat sheets. That's the thing that we said about Cody Zeller for years. Oh, he does things that don't show up in the stat sheet. It's like, hey, it's okay to show up in the stat sheet. Walker, I feel like I am the Bernie Sanders meme. I am standing here once again asking the Charlotte Hornets to acquire a center that does things in the stat sheet.
And look, man, here's the thing, though. Like, with Cody, we could disagree. With Cody, at least some of that was true. Mason isn't. Like, it's just a flat-out lie for Mason Plumlee.
Well, and when you have LaMelo Ball, who can facilitate, Cody Zeller never had a LaMelo. Well, I mean, he did for 1 year, but he never had like LaMelo Ball in this
Cody
way.
wasn't seeing the court when he had LaMelo. Like,
right.
JB didn't want to play him.
Right. Yeah. So, like, my thing is, you have LaMelo Ball. You need a center who can do things in the stat sheet because LaMelo Ball allows your center to do things in the stat sheet if that center is able.
Yeah. And, I mean, who knows? The in-season trade could happen with Mitch Kupchak. He was the deal maker in L.A. Now he's just kind of doing the whole player development thing, but this could be the year that they pull the trigger on some kind of in-season trade. Do want to talk to you guys about Bet Online. They'd like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. They remain the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code LOCKEDON to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. Bet Online is the fastest and the easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. Bet Online, where the game starts. The burger marketing campaign for the Charlotte Hornets. Are we buying in? We talk about that next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.